Hi, we're going to have a quick recap of pie charts, a quick minute or two on interpreting pie charts, and then we'll look at how we would go ahead and draw a pie chart as well. Okay, so when we're interpreting pie charts, the main fact we need to be aware of is that there's 360 degrees in a circle. That will be used when we're drawing the pie charts as well. Interpreting pie charts, it can often come in the form of a fraction question or a percentage question. This pie chart shows the holiday destinations of a number of people. Okay, we don't know the total number of people. The question doesn't tell us that, or the example doesn't tell us that. But we can interpret a few things from it. For example, the UK is covering 180 degrees of the circle, straight line, 180 degrees. So we know that the UK is responsible for half of the people represented in this pie chart. Spain takes up a 90-degree angle, 90 out of 360. So Spain is representing 1/4 of the people represented by this pie chart. Italy and France taking up 1/8 of the pie chart. We can keep relating that to the 360-degree fact, or we can start talking in percentages or fractions. It depends what way the question is going to take us. First question asks us, what fraction of the people holidayed in the UK? Well, we look at the pie chart. The UK is taking up half of the pie chart. The question wants a fraction as an answer. Nice and simple. The UK is represented by half of the pie chart. What percentage of people holidayed in Spain? So this time the question's changed. It's using the word percentage. We talked before how Spain represents a 90-degree angle, which is 1/4 of the pie chart, 1/4 of 360 degrees. As a percentage, that would be 25%. Now the question brings numbers into it. If that pie chart represented 160 people, how many people would have visited France? So 160 people are represented in that pie chart. So straight away, I know the UK is responsible for 80 people, because that is half of the amount. Spain is responsible for 40 of those people, because that's 1/4 of the amount. We know from the visual pie chart that France is 1/8 of the pie chart. So if we take the number of people, 160, and divide it by 8, it's going to tell us that France represents 20 people. So there's just a very quick introduction to interpreting from pie charts. You need to be aware the question can go down the line of asking about fractions, asking about percentages. It may give you the total amount in the question, or it may not give you the total amount in the question. Okay, drawing pie charts. This is a very, very common exam question. The exam question will ask you to draw a pie chart, and in order to do that, you need to work out the angles for each sector, each section of the pie chart. Typical exam question would look like this. You'd get some information in a frequency table and some values. So we've got we've got 5 pets, and how many owners own that pet. So what we have here is 9 people owned a cat, 3 people owned a rabbit, 12 people owned a goldfish. So this is our totals. This is our pet owners. Remembering the fact that pie charts or circles are made up of 360 degrees. That's going to help us draw our pie chart. First step is we're going to find out how many pet owners there is altogether. We're going to add up the totals in the pie chart. That comes to 45. That's a nice number because 360 is divisible by 45. Usually in an exam question, they will use a nice number like that, which 360 can be divided by. However, if they don't, you'll use the calculator and you might need to deal with a decimal. But in most exam questions, they'll give you a number which 360 is divisible by. Okay, we're going to take 360 and we're going to divide it by 45. 360 because it's the total angles in a circle, 45 because it's the total amount of pet owners in this question. That's going to give us a value of 8. What that 8 represents is 8 degrees for every animal, every pet in the question. So every cat, every single cat is represented by 8 degrees. Every single dog is represented by 8 degrees. Every single hamster is represented by 8 degrees. Okay, so then we need to find the size of the angle of each sector. So if we want to know that the size of the angle for the cat sector, we take the number of cat owners, multiply it by 8 degrees to get an angle of 72 degrees. Remember, 9 cat owners multiplied by 8 degrees, because every owner counts for 8 degrees. That gives me a total of 72 degrees. So the 9 cat owners are represented by 72 degrees. We do the same for the dog owners. That is now represented by a sector of 112 degrees. We do the same for rabbit, which is now represented by 24 degrees. Hamster, 56 degrees, and goldfish, 96 degrees. If we add up the total angles in this fourth column, we would expect them to come to 360 degrees. So that's a way of confirming if our maths, if our calculations are correct. Our total pie chart should always add up to 360 degrees. Okay, it's these 5 values that we are going to draw into our pie chart. Okay, first of all, we need a circle. You'll use a compass to draw the circle, and then a ruler to draw a straight line from the center of the circle straight up to meet the circumference. This is where we're going to start. Then you're going to use your protractor, lining it up along this line, measuring in this direction, and we're going to measure the sector for cats, which is 72 degrees. So by accurately using your protractor, you should be able to measure 72 degrees, which is going to draw in the sector for cats. You're then going to continue and draw in the sector for dogs. This time, we will put our protractor along this line, and we will measure 112 degrees in this direction. So the dog is represented by 112 degrees. We continue that with rabbit having a smaller sector, 24 degrees, hamster 56, and then what we should be left with is goldfish. So this sector here should measure as 96 degrees. Okay, there's our completed pie chart. You'll notice that the pie chart is labeled. That's a very important aspect of the pie chart. You need to make sure it is labeled so that it gives the pie chart some context. So it gives the pie chart, it shows what each sector is referring to, especially if some of the sectors are very similar. You might have a 72 degrees and a 68 degrees and a 73 degrees, in which case the labels will need to be there to make sure that each sector is, that you know what each sector is representing. Okay, so that was a quick recap on interpreting the basics of pie charts and drawing pie charts, remembering the fact a circle adds up to 360 degrees and using that amount to find what every one animal is worth in terms of degrees. In this example, it was 8 degrees. Then we use that to find the angle of each sector and then put together the pie chart. So now it's your turn to have a go at a few questions. I put a question on the screen, and for this question, I'd like you to copy out and complete the table, showing me your working out and showing me how you calculated each angle in the pie chart. Then I'd like you to use your ruler and protractor to draw a nice, accurate pie chart. Down here at the bottom, I put a little reminder on the key calculation that you'll need to apply in order to work out each angle. So the data shows you how many people preferred different types of food. So 10 people preferred pizza, 20 people preferred a McDonald's, 2 people preferred a curry. So we've got some information about people's favorite takeaway food. What I would like you to do is produce a nice, accurate pie chart to display this data. Could you copy and complete the table and the pie chart now? Could you pause the video here, please? Okay, welcome back. I'm just going to show you my solution and what your pie chart should have looked like. So this is my final answer. You can see from here that I used the key calculation. I totaled up my frequencies. There was 45 people surveyed in this survey. So 45 people were asked, what is your favorite takeaway food? Because we're dealing with a pie chart, a full circle, I've used 360 divided by my frequency total, which told me that every 8 degrees represents one person in the pie chart. So I've used that 8 degrees for each of my calculations, multiplying that degree by the frequency to find the size of the angle of each sector. So there was 3 people who preferred fish and chips. So 3 times 8 degrees told me that the sector should be 24 degrees. I then went and used my protractor and accurately measured 24 degrees and came up with this sector here. There was 10 people who said their favorite takeaway food was pizza. So I've done 10 times 8, which gave me 80. And I've then went and used my protractor to draw a nice accurate angle of 80. I've continued that round for my whole pie chart, making sure all my angles add up to 360. This little sign here, remember, just means total of, sum of. So all I've said is I've summed up my angles just to make sure they are 360 degrees. You may have labeled your sectors on your pie chart to give the pie chart some context, or you might have used a key like I've done here with my colors. So a key or a labeled pie chart would be appropriate, but once you've applied your key calculation, your pie chart should look something like this. Okay, here's a second question for you to have a go at. Again, you have the ability to pause the video at this point. I presented you with some data in a frequency table. Again, I've reminded you of the key calculation. Could you go ahead and complete the table and use the information in the table to draw a neat and accurate pie chart? Could you pause the video now? Okay, welcome back. Just having a look at my solution. So in this question, I hadn't already drawn on column 3 and column 4. So just a reminder that you need to do some multiplications to come up with your angle of each sector. The total of my frequencies in this frequency table was 60. So I did 360 divided by 60. Telling me that every one person in this data was represented by 6 degrees. So there was 20 people who own dogs. 20 times 6 degrees tells me that these 20 people are represented by an angle of 120 degrees. So I take my protractor, measure a nice neat angle, and I draw in a sector of 120 degrees. Again, you may have labeled your pie chart at this point. I've used color and a key just to show what each of my sectors is representing. Your third and final question. So again, there is a little bit more data on favorite football teams. If you could use that information to copy and complete the table, and then once you've worked out the angle for each sector, could you go ahead and draw a neat and accurate pie chart? Okay, welcome back. I'll show you through my final pie chart. So again, the total of my frequencies was 40. So 40 people were included in this data, in this survey. 360 divided by 40 tells me that I'm once again dealing with 9 degrees per person. There was 7 people whose favorite team was Arsenal. So 7 times the 9 degrees tells me I'm dealing with an angle of 63 degrees. Take my protractor, measure 63 degrees accurately, and draw in the sector. Go ahead and work out the rest of my totals, and using my protractor accurately, finishing off the pie chart. Again, labels or a key is necessary to give the pie chart some context. You can see I've put my total of the angles is 360. My sum of the angles is 360. So I've just double checked my calculations to make sure that they add up to 360. Excellent. If you were able to produce 3 very good, accurate pie charts from the frequency tables that I give you, then that is brilliant. You've shown a good understanding of drawing pie charts.